He tells him, ask for a different recital of Quran. So he asks Allah subhanahu give him another one. So what happens now? Quran is now being revealed, same verse in two different ways, to facilitate for other tribes to understand. Then Jibreel said, ask for more. And he keeps on asking until 7, but at 7 he stops. What are these 7 variants? To facilitate and allow for the tribes who are from outside the hijab to understand the Quran. And the soundest opinion is that these different words that come are just different variants of the same word. And when you say, what's kal-'ihn al-manfush? 'Ihn means wool, suf means wool, exactly the same thing. So you say, what are the variants? And most of the ulama, or the strongest opinion, is that the different words that have the same meaning, it was there just to facilitate other dialects of Arabs who didn't understand the language of the Quraysh. So for the last 2 years now, Quran's been revealed in 7 different variants. What happens now? Because this now explains something that happens. Sayyidina Umar ibn Anhu is listening to somebody reading Quran. Sayyidina Hisham, he's reading Quran. And this Sahabi is reading it in prayer. I think Surah Mu'minun, Surah Furqan. Sayyidina Umar ibn Anhu is listening and he's like, I don't recognize what he's reading. And he's getting angry now. And he said he had to stop himself jumping upon him, like, what are you reading? And this is not Quran, what you're reading. And the question is, how is this Sayyidina Umar that doesn't know what Quran is? He's memorizing, he's going along with some. It's because it's happening at the very end, the last 2 years of the Prophet. He's now being exposed now to a different reading of Quran. For 21 years he's not heard before, because it's always revealed to one variant. So what happens then? At the end of the prayer, when he finishes, he goes and grabs him by his shirt, nearly strangles, nearly throttles him. So what are you reading? He said, I'm reading what the Prophet told me. He said, I was taught the same verses, he didn't teach me that. And he said, it's from the Prophet. So he drags him by his shirt all the way to the Prophet. So you know, he had ghir in the deen, he had any passion for this religion. No. First thing the Prophet told him, let go of me. Let go of him, absolutely, let go of him. Then he asked him, what's the problem? He said, he's reading this way. He said, read it. He said, how could that? It was revealed this way. Umar, read it. How could that? He said, it was revealed in this way. Same thing happens to Sayyidina Ubay ibn Ka'b, who's one of the shuyukh of the Quran from amongst the Sahaba, who's one of the qira'ah of the Quran amongst the Sahaba. He has 2 people reading Quran, and same issue happens with him. But notice here something different happens to Sayyidina Ubay ibn Ka'b. Right? He asked the Prophet about these 2 people, and he said it was revealed in this way, it was revealed in this way. And then in the hadith, Sayyidina Ubay ibn Ka'b said, and he said, something from Jahiliyyah entered into my heart at that point. And he was on the verge of rejecting. And he understood, as many people now are exposed, one Quran, how can there be 2 different ways? He said, then the Prophet, when he saw in my face that the problem I had, he placed his hand on my chest and he said it all went away at that point. The problem we have is we don't have the hand there. So we need to explain. We need to explain. The important point here, that the last 2 years, variants are now being revealed just to facilitate for the Quraysh, for tribes outside of Quraysh, to know how to read. The original was Lughat Quraysh. Originally was 1, reading the Quran, then 7 variants. Then you have an issue, how did the variants become qira'ah? That's different. But probably the most important, because somebody once said to me, he said, we're always slating the Bible's got like so many editions. And now I'm told the Quran's got editions. It's got versions as well. So what's the difference? Anybody, what's the difference?
I was preserved.
What's that?
It's preserved.
Preserved. Every single one of them came from Jibreel to the Prophet. We can't even, the Gospel you can't even confirm the one version, let alone all the other versions. There's no Senate with the Bible. With every single verse in the Quran we have Senate. Mutawatir, multiple chains, back to the Prophet. With no version of the Bible could you do that. So according to Islamic terminology, so the Bible is mawdu', it's forged. It's forged, we can't accept that at all. So there's a vast difference between qira'at, or ahraf, the variants of the Quran, and the Bible. See, we are saying there's variants, but all of them came from Jibreel to the Prophet. All of them came from revelation, all came from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All of them are valid ways of reading the Quran. Any questions on that? Yeah.
You know the technique of narration where the chain is going back to the Prophet. How can we kind of explain that a lot more better to the non-Muslims in a way that is it's a very solid method.
I think perhaps the only way is the concept of tawatur, the concept of multiple chains, the concept of oral transmission. You know the problem you have in explaining that to non-Muslims? We're no longer in a society that memorizes anything. Human beings can't memorize anything anymore. Like if you memorize one line, people are, wow, you memorized that. Memorize the whole book. That's what the Quran is. You know? So it's the idea now that what protects alteration within the Quran, the fact that you've got so many people who read it and they took it. And again here, you might have sat down and read the whole of the Quran, memorized the whole Quran, so you're not a half of the Quran. Why have you learned the whole Quran? Have you sat down in front of somebody, read it to him? Who's read it to somebody? Who's read it to somebody? Who read it to the Prophet who took it from Jibreel? Only then can you be deemed a half of the Quran. And we say, okay, you've learned something, but how can we ensure that you've not made a mistake in what you've memorized? How do we eliminate human error? Because that's the most important aspect of the Quran, by reading it on people who've learned it. And like, you can bring up the Quran on your laptop and go and memorize. So you know you need to have a check by a person, sat in front of a person who's listened to you. There are people I know who memorize the Quran and they don't read in front of somebody. So you're not a half of the Quran by technical definition. You must have sat in front of somebody and read it for you to be half of the Quran. What's that? So what we're talking about is eliminating human error. When you've got sheer number, it's the sheer number that's the key. Once you've got that, the argument of Chinese whisper doesn't occur anymore. Why? Because Chinese whisper is, I tell you, he tells him, he tells him, he tells him, he tells him, he tells him. He comes back and tells me, totally different to what I said in the first place. If I told 15 different people, if I told 15 different people, told 15 different people and so on, so then we eliminate human error. Although, you know the problem is now, it's difficult to eliminate human error when human memories are so weak. Now, I can tell 15 different people, they're all like taking away different things. This is where now, and this is something in truth you can't really explain to a non-Muslim. This is where divine preservation comes into it. There's a divine element into it. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ. We made the Quran easy to memorize. Who's memorized the Bible? Pope probably hasn't. Probably, I mean, ask any Christian who's memorized the Bible. It's very rare you find somebody half of the Bible from cover to cover. You can get a child in any village of Islam who's memorized the whole Quran. What's the difference? Read the Bible, it's too hard to read, let alone memorize. Like memorizing it was virtually impossible. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not put it for it to be memorized. The original Torah, the original Injil, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "Dimastaqfilu min kitabillah." That we gave them the responsibility to preserve. Who the rabbis and the priests. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't say that about the Quran. He said, وَإِنَّا لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ. When he said we're preserving it, you can say then 15 people could have listened to it wrong. How many Sahaba, when the Prophet passed away, memorized the whole Quran? 23. You say, couldn't have all mistaken it? We now have a divine promise, and that's something in truth you can't really explain to a non-Muslim. When you read the Quran, I mentioned this morning, and I think a few people will be shocked by this. It's actually quite easy to learn the Quran. It's quite easy to memorize the Quran. If somebody just like decided, I'll do it, you can do it easily. As long as you have the motivation, it's very easy to memorize the Quran. That's a Quranic guarantee. وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ. But we've made the Quran easy to memorize. All it needs is you just sit down and do it. It's not something like magically you sit down and it's all stuck there. No, you need to put in time in there. Maybe take a year, 2 years, whatever. But you've got to put time in, you've got to sit down and revise it and so on. Memorizing is the easy part. What's difficult? Retaining it. That's what the Prophet said. He said to lose the Quran is easier than like a camel, a wild camel going astray. Like you leave a camel inside, that camel is gone. He said it's easier to lose the Quran. It's easier to, but and I'll say this to those who memorize the Quran, once you've done that, it's an amana with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a massive responsibility with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You cannot forget the Quran. It's considered to be a sin. To learn verses of the Quran and then you become reluctant, or you're just easy with them. There's khalas. So that's something that's considered blameworthy with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Prophet, he mentioned that as being one of the worst sins a person can commit. And the Prophet also taught his language. He said, don't say Nasitul Quran, say Lakin Nusitul Quran. Don't say I've forgotten the Quran. such bad adab with the Quran, like that indicates that you don't really treat the Quran as significant. Say, what should you say? I was made to forget. Prophet taught us that. Like, I mentioned that today in Huddersfield, and somebody was saying that, but I forgot the Quran. I said, don't say that, say I forgot. I was made to forget. It's so much in our vocabulary, say, I forgot those verses. Don't say that. Prophet forbade us from saying that. Forbade us from saying that. No. Memory, people have weakness in memory, sometimes they slip out. Attribute to the one who calls you to forget in the ultimate sense. Rather than you. Because that's badness on your part doing that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be merciful by allowing you to attribute it to Him. Although you're the one who let go of it. So in terms of memorizing the Quran, like people should have himna with the Quran. People should be serious. It's very easy to memorize. You say, how can I memorize Surah Baqarah and Surah